Did you know that a man who never created a single product, never founded a household name company, never held public office, could amass a fortune so vast it granted him access to the world's most powerful people? He was a ghost in the machine of global finance. A phantom who moved between presidents, princes, scientists, celebrities, all while hiding a monstrous secret in plain sight. This is the story of Jeffrey Epstein, a man whose life was a carefully constructed illusion. His immense wealth appeared from nowhere. His influence seemed to have no logical origin, and the darkness he cultivated was protected by the very systems meant to expose it. Jeffrey Epstein's early life offers few clues to the billionaire he would become. He was born in 1953 and grew up in a working-class Jewish family in Coney Island, Brooklyn. His background was unremarkable. He was a bright but an unexceptional student who dropped out of college twice without earning a degree. Yet, somehow, this college dropout landed a teaching position at the prestigious Dalton School in Manhattan, instructing the children of the city's elite. It was his first taste of a world far removed from his own. His time at Dalton was short-lived, ending under a cloud of rumors about his conduct. Yet it was the springboard he needed. He had made connections. He had learned how the wealthy operate. His past was a blank slate, one he would expertly rewrite. The transition from a dismissed teacher to a Wall Street player was unnervingly swift. Suddenly, Epstein was at Bear Stearns, one of the most aggressive investment banks of its time. He had no formal financial training, no Ivy League degree, no family money to back him. His entry was facilitated by the father of one of his Dalton students. He quickly gained a reputation for being brilliant, but also for bending the rules. He rose to become a limited partner, but was asked to leave in 1981, again under mysterious circumstances. Epstein's path to unimaginable riches had one crucial architect, Leslie Wexner. Wexner, self-made billionaire and founder of L Brands, parent company of Victoria's Secret and The Limited, a respected, intensely private figure in American business. Their mid-1980s meeting would change both of their lives forever. Epstein, with supposed financial acumen and boundless confidence, embedded himself into every facet of Wexner's world. Jeffrey Epstein did not act alone. His trafficking network was a sophisticated international operation. Its chief architect was Ghislaine Maxwell. The British socialite, daughter of the disgraced media tycoon Robert Maxwell, met Epstein shortly after her father's mysterious death in 1991. She brought a Rolodex filled with the names of the rich, the royal, the famous. Together, they formed a formidable and predatory partnership. Maxwell was the recruiter, the groomer, and the enforcer. She used her social standing and seemingly charming demeanor to lure vulnerable young women and teenage girls. She was the friendly female face that made the initial encounters seem safe. The system was methodical and chillingly efficient. Maxwell would scout for victims in public places, parks, schools, and malls. She would approach them with promises of modeling careers, educational opportunities, or simply money to help their families. Survivors have recounted how Maxwell's British accent and polished appearance put them at ease. Once a girl was brought to one of Epstein's properties, his Palm Beach mansion, his New York townhouse, his Paris apartment, or his private island, Little St. James, the abuse would begin. For decades, Jeffrey Epstein operated with a sense of total impunity. The question is not just how he committed his crimes, but how he got away with them for so long. The answer lies in the formidable shield he built around himself. This shield was forged from three key elements: immense wealth connections to powerful people, strategic use of information. His money allowed him to hire armies of high-powered lawyers who could intimidate victims and stonewall investigators. The first time the justice system had Jeffrey Epstein cornered was in 2007. An FBI investigation in Florida had identified dozens of victims. The evidence was overwhelming. A federal indictment was being prepared that could have sent him to prison for life. But it never happened. Instead, in 2008, Epstein was offered a deal that has since become one of the most infamous plea bargains in American history. It was a non-prosecution agreement, secretly negotiated between Epstein's legal team and U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta. The deal was extraordinary in its leniency and secrecy. Epstein would plead guilty to 2 minor state prostitution charges, one of which involved a minor. He would serve just 13 months in a private wing of the Palm Beach County Jail, with work release privileges that allowed him to be in his office for up to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. It was less a prison sentence and more a temporary inconvenience. Most disturbingly, the deal granted federal immunity from all related crimes to Epstein and any potential co-conspirators. This included Ghislaine Maxwell and others who had facilitated his abuse. The victims were never informed of the deal. Their chance for justice was negotiated away behind closed doors. Why was such a deal made? For years, that question haunted the victims and the public. The answer began to emerge a decade later when Acosta, then serving as President Trump's labor secretary, was questioned. He said, "I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone." The statement confirmed long-held suspicions. Epstein was connected to intelligence agencies, and that connection afforded him a level of protection unavailable to ordinary citizens. It suggested his value as an asset, or the potential fallout from his exposure, was deemed more important than justice for his dozens of victims. The 2008 plea deal was a catastrophic failure of the justice system. It was not a plea bargain. It was a get-out-of-jail-free card purchased with power and influence. The evidence linking powerful men to Jeffrey Epstein is not merely anecdotal. It's concrete, documented, and, honestly, deeply disturbing. Two key pieces of evidence provide a roadmap to his network: his personal phone book, often called the Black Book, and the flight logs from his private Boeing 727, the Lolita Express. The Black Book, first made public by Gawker in 2015, contains contact information for over 1,500 people. It reads like a who's who of global power, including politicians, financiers, academic celebrities. The flight logs are even more damning. They document the passengers who flew on Epstein's private jet to his various properties around the world. These logs, obtained through a civil lawsuit, show former President Bill Clinton taking numerous flights. Clinton's spokespeople have downplayed the connection, stating the flights were for humanitarian work with the Clinton Foundation. However, pilot testimony and survivor accounts, including from Virginia Jeffrey, place him on the jet and on Epstein's island. Similarly, the logs show frequent travel by Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. His denials of any wrongdoing were shattered by a now infamous BBC interview and a photograph showing him with his arm around a 17-year-old Virginia Jeffrey, with Ghislaine Maxwell smiling in the background. On August 10, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York City. He was awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges. The official cause of death was ruled a suicide by hanging. But from the moment the news broke, that official narrative was met with widespread skepticism. The circumstances surrounding his death were so irregular, so convenient for so many powerful people, that they fueled immediate and intense speculation. The man who held the secrets of the global elite was permanently silenced before he could ever testify in open court. The failures at the MCC on the night of Epstein's death were staggering. 2 guards assigned to his unit, Tova Noel Michael Thomas, were allegedly sleeping browsing the internet instead of making their required 30-minute checks. They later admitted to falsifying records to cover up their negligence. Furthermore, 2 cameras outside Epstein's cell mysteriously malfunctioned that night, leaving no video evidence of the critical hours leading up to his death. His cellmate had also been transferred out the day before, leaving him alone. This cascade of procedural failures, technical glitches, seemed too coincidental to be mere incompetence. Renowned forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Baden, who was hired by Epstein's brother to observe the autopsy, publicly stated that the injuries, including multiple fractures in his neck bones, were more consistent with homicidal strangulation than with a typical hanging suicide. The death of Jeffrey Epstein ensured that the full truth of his network would likely never be revealed in a courtroom. His demise protected countless powerful individuals who would have been implicated in his trial. It was the ultimate cover-up. While the guards were charged with conspiracy filing false records, they later accepted a plea deal that involved no jail time, only community service. No one has ever been held truly accountable for the security lapses that led to the death of America's most high-profile prisoner. The unanswered questions about his final hours continue to hang over the case, a symbol of a system that failed, or was perhaps engineered, to let the secrets die with him. The Jeffrey Epstein saga extends far beyond the borders of the United States. It's an international story with troubling links to foreign governments and global intelligence agencies. Alexander Acosta's comment that Epstein belonged to intelligence was not an isolated clue. There is a compelling body of evidence suggesting Epstein was operating as an intelligence asset for one or more agencies, possibly including the CIA or Israel's Mossad. Investigative journalists and insiders advance a theory that Epstein's network wasn't just for personal gratification, but a classic honeypot operation, to entrap powerful individuals and gather blackmail material for strategic leverage. The media's role has come under intense scrutiny. For years, major outlets failed to investigate, even after the Miami Herald's reporting. Journalists report pressure and censorship from superiors. In 2019, Amy Robach was caught on a hot mic saying her network quashed her Epstein story years earlier. She claimed the network was threatened by the British royal family after she secured an interview with Virginia Giuffre. That suggests a concerted effort by powerful entities to suppress the truth. Media censorship plus possible intelligence involvement point to a global conspiracy. The Epstein network was not just about sex, it was about power, control, and information warfare on an international scale. It implicates not just individuals, but entire systems of power, government finance, royalty, and the media. The story is not over. As of September 2025, the fallout is still unfolding. A key development has been the court-ordered release of thousands of pages of previously sealed documents from the Virginia Giuffre lawsuit. These document dumps began in early 2024 and have continued intermittently. They have brought new names into the public sphere and provided corroborating details for many long-held suspicions. In Washington, the demand for transparency has reached a fever pitch. A bipartisan congressional committee, formed in late 2024, has begun a formal investigation into the failures of the Bureau of Prisons that led to Epstein's death. They are also probing the intelligence connections first mentioned by Alex Acosta, with subpoenas being issued to former and current officials at the Department of Justice and the FBI. The committee's hearings have been tense, with officials often providing evasive answers, citing national security concerns. This has only fueled public suspicion that a cover-up is still in effect, protecting powerful interests within the U.S. government. Meanwhile, the survivors have refused to be silenced. Their bravery stands in stark contrast to the continued denials and evasions from the elite. New civil lawsuits continue to be filed against Epstein's estate and against individuals who allegedly participated in or facilitated the abuse. Survivor advocacy groups are pushing for legal reforms to eliminate the statute of limitations for child sexual abuse and to create stronger protections for whistleblowers. They are the moral center of this story, constantly reminding the world that behind the headlines about power and conspiracy, there are human beings whose lives were shattered. Their fight for justice is the driving force behind the ongoing disclosures. So who benefits from the ongoing secrecy? Anyone whose name is in the unredacted flight logs, anyone who visited the island, anyone who participated in the abuse, anyone in a position of power who knew and did nothing. The slow drip of information, the heavily redacted documents, and the official stonewalling all serve to protect the guilty. The full truth remains hidden, locked away in sealed files and in the minds of powerful people who have every reason to keep it buried. The story is not over. The question that remains, echoing from a jail cell in Manhattan, is not just what they are hiding, but will we ever truly know? Even now, 6 years after Epstein's death, secrets remain sealed. If the truth died with him, who benefits from the silence? If you found this story compelling, subscribe for more videos that uncover the world's most intriguing mysteries.